Cool. You guys should be able to hear me and everyone else. Welcome to our NASA 2021 Town Hall, where we go over feedback, our own feedback, the feedback you submitted, and any feedback you have in the chat. We will be paying attention to that. We try to be as transparent as possible with you guys, and this is one of the methods of us being as transparent as possible with you guys. So yeah.
Yeah, so I guess the first place we can start off is, thanking everyone for the awesome event in terms of, our goals. We had it set at, $1,000 to hopefully make over the weekend. We kind of shot that because when we did NASA 2020, we, had a goal. I think we hit, on average, we did it over 2 weekends. I think we raised about $1,500 each weekend. And, that was kind of a year ago. We figured since then there's been a lot of other charity marathons, and so there were even some we were competing with this weekend. So we figured $1,000 was a pretty reasonable expectation to set, and we blew past that and ended up hitting a goal of actually $1,500 on the dot. And I just wanted to say thanks to everyone who, ran, helped us organize, donated, got the word out, anything that you were able to do. I appreciate it a lot, and I know everyone here appreciates it as well. So yeah, just thanks for that.
Yeah, that was actually one of the cool things with this event. There were a lot of new faces to the event, which I think is actually awesome, because when you have an event, you always want it to grow. Friendly faces and familiar faces are always good, but you also want new people to learn about the event and recognize about it and everything. So the fact that there was new faces in this event was pretty awesome too.
Okay. Maybe we should break it down. I think so. We're going to mostly break it down into 3 parts. If anyone has any questions who are here in chat, you can drop it at any point in time. But we're going to start off kind of giving our own individual thoughts about the event. And then from there, we have a few people who submitted feedback in our Discord. We gave a form for feedback if you want to get to that before we get to that point. You can submit feedback there still, but we're going to go over that feedback on our stream here and kind of discuss it and say what people thought. And then finally, we're going to just answer any questions that people have in chat about the marathon and stuff like that. So I guess there's a lot of different things we can break down our thoughts of the marathon into. I don't know if anyone wants to talk about a specific part first. I'll let somebody else take it off.
One thing I thought was neat was Two Worlds had like a hotel lobby voice chat where he and other people would like watch movies or just talk shit. And I kind of like that kind of is like the representation the idea I had of having like a viewer call in where you could like simulate the crowd by having people in voice or on like a Zoom call being somewhat interactive with the marathon, so it's more than just like a one-way stream as most online things would be. You could have like, I know some TV shows, they'll have like a Zoom audience, or like sports things do that, but you could incorporate that into a speedrun sense or speedrun marathon sense of having audience between intermission, or just like simulate the Mafia room or other board game room shit, which is something I'd like to see. And it's I guess Two Worlds kind of did implement that a little, so getting the ball rolling.
Yeah, Two Worlds gave that idea before the event started, how he saw that other events kind of did it and he thinks that it would definitely help the vibe of the event. And I agree, having a place where, you could just voice chat while watching the stream or just kind of chill with other people, virtually, because we can't in person. But having the hotel lobby was definitely like a small, easy thing to do, but I think it added a lot. So.
Or I think another idea, I don't know if it was you had when I brought this up like a couple months ago, but having like a a dedicated like VR chat room where the stream is like streamed there, and then like everyone can assemble, and like you could realistically have like 300 people in one call. Like on Discord that would sound like shit, but on VR chat there's like some distance to it, so you could talk to them amongst like specific people, or do Mafia as well, like try to use like a separate game to do it, which would be cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think this is one of the hardest things, and people have been kind of trying to figure this out over the course of, the last year and a half now, with the fact that in-person marathons have no longer become a thing, at least for the last little bit. And, fingers absolutely crossed that next year will be an in-person event, because I would very much love for that to be a thing again. But yeah, I feel like trying to figure out ways to try and make it seem as much like a in-person event as possible, and give all those little things to kind of add that little air of the community behind it, instead of the way it is for a lot of marathons where it's basically just individual people one after another, showcasing that off. We did a few things that got us in that direction, but it will never fully be able to replicate that same community feeling when you have people sitting around, even just watching your run, or just the ambience of the area. But you can try and get close. Okay.
Anybody have anything else to add before I go over just like some technical stuff?
I mean, I think overall things went well. If you want my general thoughts, I think things went pretty well. I think, for an online event, it was decent fun, and I agree. I liked the, getting to hang out with people in the hotel lobby. That was fun. And I think next year, should be a lot of fun, since we've had all this time.
For sure. Okay, you want to go over the tech stuff, Aries?
Yeah. So we had a reasonable amount of restreamers sign up and help out with the event, which is pretty awesome, as I got to do what I've been kind of enjoying doing recently, is just kind of producing the show itself, which basically means just sitting around the whole time and making sure that everything's up to snuff, putting out fires right when they occur because I'm there, and just helping people out with things. So that was a lot of fun. I actually did do some restream shifts myself just to kind of fill in some holes that we had. But otherwise, things went well. And one of the things that was actually super awesome, and kind of shows that I know enough of what I'm doing to be able to teach others what to do, is when I take a restreamer like Two Worlds, who before the event basically was like, okay, this is OBS and there's a plus button, and okay, that's some stuff, to basically like partway through the event just being like, Two Worlds, can you set this up? Yep, on it, boss. And then like it's all done. The audio's all good, like everything's cropped, everything's good to go. So the fact that somebody can go from like not being certain of how to do certain things to being a person that I can just be like, hey, can you do this? Yep, and it's just done. I think really goes to show how close knit and just awesome kind of the behind the scenes part of the event is. And there generally wasn't any problems. Unlike last year, where we did the whole SRT first and then RTMP second, we went the opposite direction this time, RTMP first and then SRT second. And if you want an example of why SRT is awesome, you just have to watch the Sonic run that Mushy did, where it started off dropping frames and stuff like that, like a couple minutes in, to just being completely solid after a quick stop and go again. So, that's the magic of SRT, and it worked. I don't think there was really any huge gaffes that weren't fixed. It kind of sucked that marbles didn't really work for our European hosts, because what was the way the intermissions would work is the hosts themselves would control the marbles that would be on the intermission. And it seems that for our hosts that lived in Europe, it just did not work. Probably the fact that the marbles computer was in Canada and they were like in Germany or Poland or other countries like that. So if we do an online thing again with marbles, we'll definitely have to somehow come up with a European marbles computer. But if we're on site, that doesn't matter. It's just walk up to the computer. Maybe it'll even be the donation reader's computer, right? That they have donations up on, but they'll also have marbles on it or something, right? So, yeah, beyond the little things like that, I think overall the marathon itself went really well. There was not really technical, but in the runner guide, I did have a little note to introduce the donation host, just to kind of make things more fluid and natural. And obviously not everyone read that note, but for the people who did read that note, I think the runs went a lot more fluid because it just felt more natural when they asked for that intermission host, right? Because it's not just like a name in the void that reads donations whenever they appear or something like that. It's somebody who, like, the audience is now like, oh, okay, yeah, it's this person, right? So yeah, overall not too, unlike last year where that was like, oh, we're trying like this technology. This year the technology is super mature, it works, but we use it as a backup and not the main thing, and things worked out pretty well.
So to tie into that, since I was in charge of setting up some of the charity stuff along with Joel and some of the hosting stuff, I think that both of those things went pretty well as well. This year we used Tiltify, which in previous years we'd been using like kind of was it ESA's tracker or what was it?
Yeah.
We for donations, we were using speedrun.com for people to actually submit their donations through, and then I think we were using the tracker from there.
No,
so
the ESA tracker, dude.
Yeah, that's what I meant by from there, as in the ESA tracker that you mentioned.
I think outside of a couple of issues that we ran into with Tiltify with having to split up some of those polls, and then also not being able to do like file name choices. Outside of that, I think simplifying everything else was really nice. As a host, it was really nice to be able to just like look at the page and it's all just right there, and I don't have to go through like 800 different tabs and click different buttons to make stuff happen. It just all automatic. That part went really great, in my opinion. I'd be interested to see what viewers thought and donators thought about the actual system of donating. I donated a little bit, and I thought that it was actually pretty easy, mostly because I use PayPal for stuff like that. So I just click the PayPal button. It does most of it for me.
I donated a small amount as well, and using I think I used Google Pay, and it yet again all works very simply. I pretty much have to match with you as someone who set up a lot of the polls and incentives. It's close to being something that I feel like I would be comfortable using more frequently for other events. As I said, there's just a few kind of problem points that I feel like for a week-long marathon will be potential killers. Like, as I said, as Dark Fox mentioned, not having the ability to add file names. You could add a couple generic ones, or add a poll every time somebody donates, but yet again that runs into the problem where you can only have 5 options max. So if you have a poll, for example, we had quite a few of them where there were 6 options, 10 options, and we just split it across 2 polls, but that's obviously not great. And you also can't set polls chronologically, so when you add them and then enable them, if let's say one's coming sooner than the other, they just kind of all appear in a random order. Having them ordered chronologically would be a lot nicer. Minor problems as well. Like, it depends on whether or not you see this as a good or a bad thing. But for example, for a donation, you could donate towards an incentive and a poll with the same donation. Most other marathons don't allow that. They allow one or the other to kind of, allow people or force people to, incentivize them to donate extra if they want to see 2 separate things met. Like, let's say you really want a poll to win, you really want, save the animals, and you need a bit more to do that, but you also want to beat this goal of having this new category unlocked. You have to kind of donate twice to hit that. But the nice thing for this is it means all our incentives were hit and all our polls had decent, values towards it. But that, is neither good nor bad. It's just different. But I do think mainly the file name and polls with more than 5 options in ordering, if they had that, I would be much more confident and happy with using it again.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that it is definitely possible that those things could be fixed by next year. So we'll see. And then as far as, actual hosting goes, I think, the simplified workflow, like I said before, really made it like a lot easier in general, and a lot less stressful. So that was nice. I think I'm the only person that did hosting shifts. No, Lurk and Naglaria both did hosting shifts. What did you guys
Yeah,
think?
but I'm like extremely incompetent, so it doesn't really count.
Did you think it was easy enough to do?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Okay, that's all that matters.
Yeah, I didn't have any issues with the Tiltify website or anything like that. It was pretty straightforward for the most part as far as getting it to operate. And I didn't really have too much to read, though, however. The majority of my shift was, first we had Double Dash, which did have a good number of donations. But then Chrono Trigger, I don't think we really had any. So, yeah, I didn't really have to do it too much. My own thoughts while I'm talking is I thought the overall things went pretty well. I thought as a runner, things were pretty smooth on my end as far as getting everything ready, but go figure, I'm also staff and set people up, so I didn't really need to get set up all that much. It's great that we were able to raise over the estimate that we were expecting, because like others people have said, we were up against some other stuff going on that weekend. We weren't able to secure any front page time, even going through like Morale to try and help with that, because they didn't like us for 2017 still. And I think my only real complaint, and I've already made tweets to this effect, and it has nothing to do with the operations of the marathon or anything to do with what happened. I just wish other marathons had more of like a networking feel to them and would give us more like retweets and more sharing of the marathon and more cross promotion, because we don't get shit and it's just really annoying. But other than that, I thought we did great.
Has anyone pointed out that the 1500 was consistent with the year before as well, which is pretty cool?
Yeah, I mentioned that in kind of my discussion at the start, that having, we were hitting 1500 both weekends last year, and then shot for 1,000 but hit 1500. So the fact that we're kind of consistent, especially due to the fact that we've been doing these online marathons, we were running for about the same amount of time, and as I said, it's been a long year for people, so I don't know what our expectations were, but I'm definitely more than happy with how things ended up.
Yeah, I mean, kind of going on the social media thing as well. We dropped the ball on some runs, but I think we were a lot more consistent with tweeting out runs than we've probably ever been, in all honesty. And that was also kind of in part because I was able to kind of do things behind the scenes. So, dropping the ball was kind of on me, especially not making sure that there was somebody who could tweet while I was asleep, because go figure, I'd need to sleep as well. But, on TweetDeck, I do have a search thing set up for showing that people, they tag NASA or they put in that they're going to be streaming for NASA. And for the runners and everyone else who did mention that the event was going on, you guys are awesome, because to quote Lurk again, some past town hall again, the best thing you can do for the event is to tell 2 friends. And for the people that did that, you people are awesome.
Yeah, I'd like to thank you a lot for that. And I'm trying to think if there's anything else that we can discuss about it. Oh yeah, I wanted to add one point that was kind of brought up earlier when we were talking about the restreamers. And this is kind of a bit of looking forward, but also just a comment on this, which is that I have to say, it's so much nicer when we do have people who are able and willing to help. This is something that for online, it's obviously much easier to find, because it's definitely a little easier to do restreaming. Not that it's easy, but it's a little easier. And also, you don't need to be as location specific. So you can just kind of jump on regardless of where you are in your availability. But kind of, so like for me, for example, in past years, I would do a restream where I was always the person to restream from, like, midnight until 8 in the morning, or like till 6 in the morning. I was doing 6 to 8 hours per day the entire weekend for potentially 2 weekends or a full week or stuff like that. Where for this marathon, I did about 6 to 7 hours of restreaming over 2 days, or over 3 days, sorry, and that was pretty on par with what most people ended up doing. Some people did a little longer than others, but it was never too much longer than that. And I think that makes a very big difference, because it just allows people to, they can stick in. And I watched a lot of the event, and I was able to kind of be here or talk with people if I wanted to, but I wasn't required to be there. And it kind of made it so that, even going into Monday, I still work right now. So, and, I had to go to start working early Monday. I wasn't completely dead because of previous years. So it's just stuff like that where I think it was great. And looking forward to kind of next year when we're back in person, it's something we're going to kind of have to build up again, because, it takes a lot more knowledge to work some stuff in person than it does to work it online. Just a different knowledge set that not as many people deal with. But in a perfect world, if we can get to the point where we have a similar thing where we have a good handful of people that can always jump through and allow everyone to kind of enjoy the event in person, that would be such a nice thing if we could replicate that.
Yeah, I think if anything, this marathon's reaffirmed that we need to get back in person.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, yeah, definitely. I want to get back in person. Trust me. I would not trade, the hours of restream for the lack of in person. I think having a in-person event is just so key.
Yeah,
So are
so
you
much more
saying
fun.
that you would be willing to do the 8-hour shifts if we could do it in person again?
Well, I would prefer not to, but it's more likely that it comes to that, and I've gotten used to that. But that's the point I'm trying to make is, if it comes to that, it comes to that, and I'm always willing to do it. But if it comes to the point where instead we have 6-7 people that can sit there for 3 to 4 hours a day and be able to run everything themselves, and if we have issues, they can handle it themselves because they know how everything works. That would be kind of my dream point, because at that point, then we don't need to have cases where Aries or myself or anyone, because we had a good number of people who helped, but are kind of stuck. Mostly Aries, if I'm being honest, is stuck there for 85% of the marathon, because he's the one who knows how all the stuff works, and if anything breaks, he's the person who's guaranteed to know how to fix it. So if we can get to the point where we do the online marathons where it's easy for somebody to jump in, jump out, and everyone knows what they're doing and can run it themselves, that's like the primo stuff.
I would say, things to consider, though, that I would point out about the whole in-person thing is that we also need hosts, which is a new thing for us, for in-person. So I think, one thing I would say for anyone watching is that if you have even the vaguest amount of willingness to help, and you're planning on going to NASA in person, which you definitely should next year, please volunteer, because we're gonna need a lot more volunteers to put on a quality production in person, with a charity aspect.
Yeah, and I figure I'll mention a bit more. We'll talk more about next year, kind of near the end of this, just to kind of get the ball rolling. But with volunteering, especially on tech, you don't have to know a thing. I can teach you all that I know, and I happen to know a fuck ton, because it is my literal job to know a fuck ton about operating live events, because it is my day job. It hasn't been for the past year and a half because there hasn't been any conferences and live events, but I know a lot. I can share my knowledge with you. It turns out that I do an okay job at it, so you don't have to worry.
One last thought that I have before we move on to viewer feedback, which I'm assuming is the next thing we were gonna do, is as someone who's does a lot of stuff with Save the Children, and I work with Morale on Speed Souls charity marathon as well. If anyone else has seen that, if that was cool and you like that, check out that, and also let us know what you want us to do next year. If there's anything that you think could be fun fun ways we could tie in with the charity, like let us know, because we want to actually like make it like interesting, you know. So yeah. Also, like, thanks for your donations, because like legitimately, like you actually probably saved some children's lives. So yeah, thanks.
Okay, I guess submitted feedback then.
Yeah, let's pull that up.
It is pulled up. And now it's even bigger. Now it's even bigger. Okay, so the first thing submitted feedback that we got from a Twitch viewer for what did we do well this weekend. Apparently we had a good choice of runs, excellent commentary, fun marbles in between runs, and good incentives. What we could have done better in the future is longer events, more puzzle games, maybe one super long JRPG run. Other than that, you guys knocked it out of the park. I hope you get more recognition over time than just the quote-unquote the VG marathon, since I know you've outgrown that and moved on to brighter things. Well, thanks. That actually means a lot.
Marathon.
Yeah, what'd you say, Declaria?
What's the VG marathon?
I think they're just trying to say
The
that, you
4chan
know, there
board.
was, yeah, the 4chan the 4chan marathon instead of that being something
Okay,
beyond
I'm
that.
not, yeah, I don't really know much about that shit. So
I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't think I've used 4chan since I was like legitimately actually 12, and I'm not even joking. But go on.
But anyway, I do think, you know, glad that you like the run. Yeah, having long JRPG runs. This is one of these things that I like to put here when you talk about, when people give comments about like more of a certain type of game. You know, a JRPG run, a puzzle game. You know what? I wouldn't be against having those types of games. Submit them. If you know somebody who runs those games and you like them, tell them to submit them to the marathon, because, you know, we can only make a schedule with what we have submitted, and we have a lot of games that we had submitted. We didn't have any long JRPGs, for example, but I'm not against them. Although we do only have a weekend, so obviously we can only do so much with 3 days. But yeah, definitely those types of runs are great. But yeah, we just need people to submit them and we can run them. Last year we had Final Fantasy VII Remake as one of our runs. So yeah, when we have them, we're definitely willing to show them off.
You know, we talk about how, you know, telling 2 friends or whatever would be really big. If you're a viewer and you watch a lot of speedruns and you watch speedrunners that don't do runs in NASA, tell them to do runs in NASA. Just saying. Like, just you know, if you feel like you've got that kind of vibe going on, like, encourage them to submit to the marathon if you like our marathon and you like runners that don't do runs at our marathon. Because we like runners that don't do runs at our marathon. I love fresh content.
Well, we like those runners submitting to our marathon.
True. Yes, that's true. I don't like it when they don't do runs. I like it when they start doing it.
we love it when people don't submit to our marathon. That's nothing makes us happier.
Yeah, definitely.
No, but yes, that's a good point, Darkbox. Yes, if you know anyone who does runs, tell them to submit, and we'd love to have more people show off their runs.
Yeah, I think another thing as well was the longer events kind of portion. This year specifically, we chose to do only one weekend, and I think it worked out better that way. last year when we moved to online, we were one of the first events to move from like on-site to online, and the marathon scene wasn't overtly saturated like it is now, because it is literally oversaturated at this point. Every weekend has just so many different marathons. All these marathons go for different causes. It wasn't that much though, because COVID hit in around March, and NASA's always generally like the first on-site event to happen in June. Maybe RPG Limit Break at like the end of May. So we're like the second, I guess, in that case. But so, you know, the end of May, start of June is really when the speedrun marathon summer kind of split, I guess, starts with all the live events happening. So in between then and that, you had like the online marathons that normally occur. Then you have everyone switching over to online. And then you have people realizing, well, now I can just have a bunch of online marathons. So even if it was starting to become as bad, it wasn't as bad as it is now. So yeah, I don't think, I don't have the patience for this many online marathons. I don't know how viewers have the patience for that many online marathons. So it was kind of more a strategic thing to do one weekend, I think, anyways. If we were to do two, I don't think it would have worked out very well this year.
Plus, it requires a lot more people to be available and having extra submissions. So, like, to have events over 2 weekends, you need obviously basically twice as many runs submitted, but then you also need the availability of every single person for 2 weekends. And that's one of those things where, you know, when you look at that stuff with all these other conditions, it just kind of made sense to do 1 weekend. Obviously, when we go back to in person, our goal is for a week-long event. And the other reason being that it's, you know, when you're talking about running a week-long event, and this is the same thing that happened last year as well, why we did 2 weekends instead of a week-long, was because it's harder to convince people to take time off, both to do runs themselves as well as like restream and do all that stuff when you're just kind of sitting at home. And you're getting kind of nothing else out of taking time off to do runs. For runners, you know, you can just do a run when it's available, but yet again, during the day, a lot of people are busy. So you kind of run into this issue. We're doing a week-long event. It's really hard to get buy-in for that. So weekends, the large majority of people are available, which is why we do that instead of running kind of into the weekday, where you need to start making sure that people are actually available during the weekday to both restream, host, and run, where availability start getting a lot more questionable.
Yeah, I think it's really hard to put like I think it's really hard to explain, especially if you haven't been to our event or, you know, maybe another speedrunning event, like how wildly different an online event is, like as runners and organizers, to an on-site event. You know, people don't want to take off work to do an online event, like Joel said, generally, because you're just sitting at home. And when you go to get food, you're going upstairs and grabbing food and then sitting down at your computer. You're not going out for sushi with like 20 people, you know, to the all-you-can-eat sushi bar, or like, you know, well, this year we'll be in Cleveland, so we're not going to Waffle House, you know. Like, the point is that you're not having delicious food with a bunch of people outside of the times where you're working on the event. And that really is a huge motivator to get people to be willing to put in the time and spend the money.
Okay. Well, I think that kind of covers the first point here. We should go to the second one. Aries, if you want to read that out.
Yep. I also just realized that I forgot to change the topic thing. Hold on. Submitted feedback. Okay. Huzzah. Anyways.
That is well off the screen.
I just fixed it. Also, I think I hit
fix it.
submitted doesn't have 2 T's, does it? No. There we go.
No, it does. It does have 2 T's,
God.
I'm pretty sure.
Now it has 2 T's. Okay. Leave me alone. So the second feedback is from a viewer and a runner and a restreamer. So, the restreamer swaps apparently were really well. The host swaps are really well. Using intermission time well by keeping viewers involved through communication and marbles. What we could do better in the future was expand on viewer community interaction. Marbles is dope, and the casual room. Oh, hold on. And the casual room voice chat was sick, but there's got to be more we can do. Build on the successful stuff to create more. What are you guys' thoughts on that?
I'd like to see during like a IRL event or even potentially online, like during setup, rather than marbles, we could have like a separate cam to just like a table or a setup, like not just Clue. We could have like just challenge people to do like a meme run, like play solitaire with like a real actual card deck and just try to do it as fast as possible. Just really dumb shit. Or even like just ask the runner, it's like, all right, your run's over. Want to just do like a 5-minute dumb meme speed run, something like that. Clue or like a short game or just a random challenge, like use a real deck to play solitaire, shit like that.
So kind of building on that, since you've mentioned the board games, and it reminded me about the Mario Party run, which reminded me something about feedback that I should have given earlier. But there were some runs that just had like super good chemistry with the donations flowing and everything like that. Like Pokemon Snap had the submit $5 and we'll read a Pokedex entry for you in the Pokedex voice. Super Mario Party was obviously just like submit money and we'll do stuff for fun. And that, I think that's a good vibe to have on the stream when, you know, the money's coming in for good cause, everyone's having fun with it, and there's just natural chemistry happening on stream. And I think if there was, that's something that I wish we could do on the intermissions. But to do that in a sense, in a way that I think would make the most amount of sense, you definitely require on-site. There's only so much you can do online. I mean, GDQ does the whole armchair fireplace thing Sent did, right? Which, if people know, I did mention that I really want that to happen on NASA if it could. But none of our hosts own a fireplace, so it just never happened. So, you know, Sent has my idea. But it's just a good idea, things like that, right? To have just kind of a natural, oh yeah, that's a cool idea. So doing more things like Neglero's mentioned, like a Clue game or something on the intermission, like that could be cool. Have like predictions going on, right? Like who's gonna win, or like I don't know.
Can I make a request?
Yeah,
as a host.
Go for it.
Since I'm probably gonna have to host next year too. Can we put like a random green sheet behind the hosts so that we can like be in space or some stupid crap? Because I think that would be hilarious at times. I bet you could meme up really good, and then you could have your fireplace host. Someone could get all dressed up in a costume based on the. Sorry.
Yeah, we could do that. Like, I'm sure Fabric Lands exist in the States as well, or what's it called?
Yeah.
There's Joanne
Party
Fabrics.
City.
I'm sure that exists.
Oh yeah, no, we have Joanne, we have Michaels, we have a Party City if you want just like costumes, and then yeah, you can get the fabric from one of those fabric stores, or you could just buy a bed sheet.
That honestly, even something like that is fun. Like each host gets to like pick out like random things from the chest of props that we bought, right? And gets to pick like a background or something. That would bring a lot of fun, I think, to intermissions to kind of get things
so
flowing.
those
I think it would be fun for me.
Those little like steel puzzle things where there's like a string with 2 balls on it. You could challenge people to like, all right, you got like 1 minute till the intermission's over. Just fucking go.
Oh yeah,
You just want to try and torture the hosts.
you can buy a bunch of those puzzles at like the dollar store. Just buy a bunch of those. Have people kind of like just cut to it. Has somebody solved it yet? That would be fun.
I think the potentially, if we set up the stations that I was thinking of as well, we could cut to whatever's going on there.
Oh yeah, that'd be cool.
So in theory, there is no downtime because there's always someone playing something that we're capturing from whatever station is going on. So there's also the potential that we could have like multiple things happening even outside of intermission, like because, you know, if something happens, you know, on one of the record stations and we're like, oh shit, this dude just, you know, did something sick and we can play it back for you. Yeah, let's do that, right? So I think we're exploring that. At least like my envision is like at least one station of that nature. I don't know how many we could actually get, but like a separate schedule, you know, from the marathon. And yeah, we'll see how far that idea goes. But Definitely something that can spice up the just the not only the intermissions but the sort of like marathon format is the hope.
Oh, for sure. I think another idea that I know we've talked about before, because me and Lurk both have this is all just random stuff, I guess, kind of, but we talked about this because we both have GoPros and like portable solutions. So like we could maybe do something where like you could have a Mafia during intermissions, or maybe Mafia under stream, where like you have someone wearing a GoPro that's running the Mafia game, so you as the viewer get to see everything happening.
Or like Twitch plays Mafia, where the viewer votes for whoever is wearing the GoPro.
Yeah, like something weird like that, But the point being is that like there's a lot of fun stuff we've been thinking up over the last couple of years. So if you all have any ideas, also let us know. Because, yeah.
Okay, I think on to the next submitted feedback then.
Yes.
Yeah, let's go.
Okay, so this is from a Twitch viewer. We had good commentary. For what we can improve upon, they said have a special segment during setup that is big meme energy.
Green screens.
Yeah, we just went over that.
Yep. We're right. We're a couple steps ahead of you there. We're thinking about it.
All right, and this is the final submitted feedback.
We can play that entire scene from Attack of the Clones.
We could. We'd probably get copy struck.
The ones that's hot right now. Not if we pause enough.
That's.
Or just reenact it.
Yeah. What if we just like dress up like?
Oh no.
Like we could get Dale to be what's her name?
Padme.
Yeah,
which is Natalie Portman's character.
Anakin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All I remember of that scene is the fucking line about sand.
Sand. It's coarse and gets everywhere.
That's from the first movie, isn't it?
I don't know. It's shit, whatever.
No, maybe that is the second one. I don't know. I need to rewatch those to remember which one is the shittiest.
The answer's Phantom Menace.
Really?
Yeah.
But that had Darth Maul. He's so cool.
Yeah, and he lasts all of 5 minutes. This is like saying the Christmas special is cool because Boba Fett exists.
The only reason to watch Attack of the Clones is because Natalie Portman wears a really nice white outfit.
That is true.
No, the worst one is Star Wars 4.
That's not one of the options in the prequel series.
Wait, 4? Is that A New Hope?
Yeah, I don't know. I just chose. I haven't watched it, so I don't know.
So the original one, the first one,
the first Star Wars.
Yeah, it was the first one, therefore it's the worst. That's the rule, right? It's you don't even have anything.
They wouldn't have had to make 8 other Star Wars to improve upon it if they'd got it right the first time.
Everyone knows that the sequels to movies are always better than the originals.
This is just a fact. The only movie I've watched is Jump Street, so therefore the only comparison I have is 21 and 22 Jump Street. There you go. Okay. But yeah, I do think that's having that kind of stuff would be great. Do we want to go to the next feedback?
Yep.
Yeah.
Since there wasn't really much there.
Let's start the next feedback here. So, for what we did well, commentary in general was strong throughout the event from various people behind the mic. As a host and donator, the new interface for that was good. Intermission screen still looks great. Inclusion of randomizer and score attack style games is a welcome addition to the marathon and helps diversify the content in a way. I feel is positive, as those who play video games, some also enjoy other high levels of performance in games. For what we could do better, 3 improvements I want to see. First, as a host, a wee bit more advanced confirmation on the various steps of organizing the event, accept games and schedule, sponsor, charity, org info, distribution, and pre-event meeting felt a little close to the start date. Second, include a tournament of racing, fighting, first-person shooter, or other game that doesn't have a regular competitive scene such as Wipeout, Battle Arena Toshinden, Banjo-Tooie, FPS minigame, or some other game that leaves people wondering, what even is this game? Or this has multiplayer? Commentate it as if it's the most serious thing ever. Overact like if we're in anime. Have players make up imaginary personas to use. Lots can be done with this concept. Third, VTuber avatar of Nando, make him digital and eternal.
All I can comment on is the second and third. For the second, I think this is one of these things that, yet again, having an in-person event, it makes it so much easier. Because in-person tournaments, especially when you have that many people, are just awesome.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Also, admit it.
The sports thing has me thinking of like sports games where you can sit like a computer team against another. You could have that being like a constant, even just on like running an emulator, just like something running throughout an event. And you just like let's look at the score of this like never-ending computer thing, and you can bet on which one's gonna win or some shit like that.
That's easy enough to see. You can set up a whole tournament, get an NCAA game and set up a full March Madness bracket or something. I don't know. Then just let every game play through at full duration.
So the VTuber avatar?
That's an obvious yes.
Yeah,
that's an obvious. It needs to happen, of course.
Yeah, we'll figure it out. Don't worry about it.
If you know someone that can make those, tell us so we can pay them to do it.
I'm sure we can get someone to like voice Nando and have like a whole Nando hosting shift and everything. It'll be great.
Could probably like I know there's some professional voice actors like John St. John. You could like shoot them like $100 to voice like a few lines, and I'd be like, those are the only things Nando says.
Sorry, that's all we taught Nando how to say. He's not that smart.
As far as other games and stuff, I know, I forget which marathon did it, but like there's like the duck racing game in Shenmue, that I forget which marathon used that as like a intermission thing. But I think yeah, we could. I think if we could find more games that can take like 2 to 3, 5 minutes max to do a run of, or to have something, like a race or anything that chat could interact with or do with, I think we would totally be open to trying to make that happen, especially on site. Because we could just have it set up right there instead of it being this, log into the Steam and then have the Steam shadow play with this other thing that can actually run marbles. And yeah, it was that's why it didn't work for Euros and everything, right? So
yeah. To the first point, I'll take the blame on that, because it was kind of a lot more. Well, the unfortunate thing, right, is that I'm kind of like a technical bottleneck in a way. And, it's not the only thing that was bottlenecking. There were some other things as well, but, there was marathon fatigue as well. I don't think any of us were really, like, super into the event, and a lot of us felt a lot better once the event was actually going. Just online events. Personally, I'm, like, super over them. And then I was also not in the best of mental headspaces before the event as well, for reasons that I don't have to go into. And that just kind of kept me from doing things and finishing them earlier than I should have had them done. And then I had them done about close to the event, and then I went over them, and then we had the event. So yeah, I'll take the blame for the fact that things were kind of close to the due date, because the layouts and kind of any updates on restreaming and the marbles machine and all that stuff, that was kind of all on me.
Look, realistically, been kind of a heck of a year here, guys and gals and whoever else.
Unbelievable.
Kind of been a bit of a year. I know I was supposed to write a hosting guide. That never happened. I actually wrote half of it, and then I like had to do my job. And I know, like, there was some other stuff that never happened, but, like, realistically, the event still happened. And yeah, I think next year, especially with it being in person, that we're gonna try and get all this stuff done way ahead of time. But you know,
Let's believe that happens. We'll say it'll definitely happen ahead of time next time.
it definitely will maybe happen.
Yeah, I can give you at least a 5% confidence that that it will happen next time. But you know, it's something that we're obviously going to work on, and I do agree with what Aries is saying that basically. Once the event started, everything just felt a lot smoother. It was kind of one of those things that when it was getting ready to go, it's like, man, we have so much we need to do, and you got to get it running. And then it actually started running, and it's like, well, this is actually going pretty smooth, and everything ran much nicer than I was expecting, to be honest. I was always at some point expecting something to fall apart completely. And in terms of like runs, not too many runs overall went wrong. I think we only had one runner no show.
Yep, they're banned.
Very few. Yeah.
I'm saying it flat out now. The runner knows who they are. If you try submitting again, you're just not allowed. I'm sorry.
Yeah, please show up to runs when schedules come out. But on top,
Or if not, at least give a heads up.
yes, if you're not going to show up, give us a heads up. You can't make it, we'll find a replacement.
Yeah,
you don't
we've
show up
had
at all
people
the time
tell
comes.
us like, hey, something's come up. I'm not able to do the run. I'm so sorry. And then, we're like, life happens. Thanks for letting us know ahead of time. And then we do the at everyone. Hey, does anybody want a free bonus run that's going to happen in like 2 hours? And then people are like, oh my God, yes, please. So, if you let us know, everything's good. If you don't, then we have a problem.
Yeah, but that's how that goes. But and then in terms of like difficulties of setting runs up, like a few of them we had a few troubles, but yet again, I don't think it was widespread. I feel like the majority of the runs were quite smooth for setup, which was very nice. So overall, I think that'll, I'm happy with that. But yeah, of course, obviously, we always would like to get stuff done more ahead of time, but the schedules worked the way they did, and it was out in time, which is important. But yeah, the tournament for sure. I would love to see one of those for next year. NASA just get a full tournament running with whoever's there. That'll be a fun time. And then VTuber, yeah, we'll get that working.
You gotta like pay for live 2D though. I don't know.
Oh, I'm not saying
I don't know about that.
worst case. We might get some real low budget sketchy stuff that isn't actually VTuber, but we'll pretend like it is.
I mean, you get like a trial or whatever, but like it's 45 days or something like that. I don't know about that.
There you go. You have it right before the week, right before next year. You run it and you never mention it again.
What are we talking about?
VTuber stuff, because that stuff's expensive to use.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm sure the VTuber fad will be dead by the time the NASA after that comes around anyway.
I don't know if
Definitely not going to be dead.
I was gonna say I don't know if I'd rely on that.
And it's mostly a joke. So some other feedback that I got directly from people. Multiple people actually asked me whether or not next year's event was going to be in person or online. That would probably not be able to make it in person because of where they live or something like that. And they asked if we would consider taking runs from people remote when we do our long event next year. So I think that was basically feedback that I got was, hey, maybe we should consider taking runs from people who, did runs this year or last year that can do like online runs but not in person or something.
Yeah, that's something we'll have to we can look into. I obviously don't want to commit to anything.
Yeah, no.
That ahead of time, but it's something we can definitely think about because obviously one of the big issues with in-person events is that if you can't make it, you basically can't do a run, and a lot of people do want to still support the marathon but can't make it. So it's something we can definitely look into, but is also something that's very there's a lot of different technical challenges because when you don't have anyone in person, there's just a lot of separate issues with that. But it's definitely something we could look into for next year. But obviously, that's so far away that I would not even try committing to something like that as early.
I think it is
Yeah.
more likely that we would have virtual hosts than a virtual run, if anything.
Even then, it's like, as I'm saying, virtual runs, I don't want to, it's something that, we can take it as feedback, but I wouldn't want to commit to anything like that yet, because there's just so much we need to figure out.
Yeah, I think that a lot of the appeal is the in-person aspect of
Yeah.
it. So like, if you can't make it, then you can't run because you're not there.
Yeah, GDQ doesn't have it where it's like, well, I'll be from home, right? You have to be there, and it's also just a different vibe. That's why I was saying maybe if anything a host, because a host is just like they don't interact really with kind of the couch or anything else in an in-person capacity, right? And it's a lot easier to make sure that someone has a reasonable mic setup and has like a cam on them does whatever. It's a lot easier to get 2 variables set up, or 3, I guess, the runner, their camera feed, and the audio, than it is to get like a runner and then their game and then their audio set up and then make sure everything's balanced, because obviously it would be, even if we were to split it up like other online marathons I've been doing where we would control all the audio, that's still a whole spiel that has to be all done, and it's going to be a lot of setup for, at the end of the day, something that's probably going to feel really out of place compared to every other run that occurs at an on-site event. So
As big Billy Mitchell fans, we just believe that you got to do it in person. Or
there's a human element involved,
Anyway, was there any more feedback, or was this the last
So
feedback point?
I also got, now that I remember, I also had some direct feedback from one of the hosts where Mumble is great when it's a direct line of communication. It is not so great when there's multiple people talking through it. So for hosts and tech, that probably makes a lot of sense. For viewers, you're probably right now going, what the hell is going on? So basically in broadcast, the people behind the scenes all have headsets, right? Like the people controlling the audio, the cameras, and everything else, they all have headsets, so they can say behind the scenes what has to be done. And even like hosts, they have like little in-ear headphones, so that way ground control can tell them, hey, so you're going live, or make sure you say this, stuff like that. And we kind of mimic that in our online events, where we have a Mumble server that is used for the hosts and the restreamers, so that way they can tell the hosts when they're live. The host can let them know, hey, I just mentioned Save the Children, now hit play on the Save the Children ad and stuff like that. And that's great. But it's not so great when, let's say, the host is trying to explain Save the Children stuff, and I'm in the same Mumble chat explaining to the restreamer, okay, you need to start doing this and this and this, because you have somebody talking in your ear, right? So in professional broadcast, you have channels, right? The producer can talk to channel A, or they can talk to channel B, and channel A is like everyone, channel B is like just the camera people, channel C is maybe like just the audio people, right? So as far as I know, that feature of being in 2 rooms at once is just fucking impossible for every single voice chat program. Don't ask me why. It's just fucking impossible. I looked it up, and in Mumble's solution, it was like some weird ass RAID array where like you have a leader and the leader's only allowed to talk to this, but it required a bunch of fucking server mods and everything. And I'm just like, why is this so hard? Why is technology not expanded to the fact that somebody can just be in 2 rooms at once? So, but on an on-site event, that's not going to be a problem. So just sharing the feedback. That's all I got.
I mean, I think that really comes more down to people prioritizing certain communications, and I think some of that even boils down to like the general philosophy of like, are you prioritizing what's going on the stream or not? Because some restreamers are perfectly comfortable just like sitting there for 30 seconds while they figure out a thing, and other people aren't.
Yeah. It's also definitely like a mindset too, right? Like not everyone's used to they're constantly being talking in their ear while they're doing stuff, right? So it's definitely something, even on the restreamer side, right? If there's people talking and you're trying to get stuff done, not everyone can just be like working on things while they hear people. So
Yeah, for sure. It's
something to
definitely a
get used to.
skill.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a muscle you got to flex as far as focusing in on what you're trying to really prioritize.
Yeah, it's tough.
Yeah, but yeah, understandably.
Okay. I guess that's all the submitted feedback. So I guess we'll just go to any chat feedback.
Well, one thing I will comment is that it's kind of funny how I feel like a lot of the problems with online marathons are going to be solved once we're in person, because it's like, oh, well, we'll be right there. Oh, the computer will be right there.
Yeah, it's definitely there's a whole separate set of issues for online versus in person, and it's definitely one of these things that a lot of the problems we have online is likely going to be fixed in person. There will probably be new problems that'll show up when we get in person, but we'll tackle those when we get there. So yeah, if you're here
Chat's dead as fuck.
Yeah, I was gonna say, if you're here in chat, we got a few people in here, but we'll give an option if you're here in chat, if you have a question to ask. If not, we'll just ramble for a little longer and then fade off into the night.
Or I guess if you're watching this as a VOD and you want to comment or tweet at us or hop in the Discord,
like or subscribe
in the future.
Yo, reminder that No Major Opinions has a submission form that you can always just add any extra feedback to, and we'll get to it during the next No Major Opinions episode.
Yeah, coming soon, by the way. We recorded a Dust Force interview. So that'll be the next episode.
Soon, TM.
Also feel like we should have a channel to dedicate all the meme ideas of what to do during intermissions.
Not a bad idea. We could add one.
All right, do we just want to kind of talk about the starting plans for next year then? Or at least the hopes and dreams for next year?
Yeah, so we're going to call it NASA 2020 because that's what it should have been.
The Euro Cup already gave precedent for that, so I agree.
We still have the contract with the same place in Cleveland. So, still going to be in the same place that we announced back in 2020, or no. When did we announce? We announced in 2019, didn't we? I don't remember.
That was literally infinitely years ago.
It would have been 2019, I think. I don't know.
That wasn't
All
a
that
past
I know
life.
is that there is a Waffle House within 30 minutes of the hotel, if I remember right, which means that Southern Hibachi is on the menu.
Yeah, so all of the information we had is like crossed out on our website, and so we'll need to update that just to reflect that it's current information. So we'll do all that. We'll get the website updated. We're doing more behind the scenes stuff with that constantly. I feel like we update on that every time we update. So we have the dates already?
We should.
We should. Do I remember them?
Does anyone remember them?
Not a
We
chance.
definitely have the dates for sure because we have a contract.
Yeah. Does anybody remember?
Yeah, but none of
it?
us
No.
know when it is.
We'll announce it sooner than later. It's fine. It's in June. I'm pretty sure it's still in June.
Yeah, they're like comparable dates to when it would have been in 2020. So adjusted by like 2 or 3 days in the ballpark of early July? June?
Early June.
Early June.
I'm pretty sure it's early June.
But we'll figure it out because we're organized as the organizers.
Yep, we are very prepared and we definitely know all this information.
It's only been pushed back 2 years in a row. It's fine.
Yeah, whenever I assume, I'm just gonna say it's one of the first 2 weeks. Like, it's gonna start in either the first or the second weekend of June, and it's gonna end in the second or third weekend of June. That's pretty much a safe bet. At least I'm like pretty sure it's one of those 2 weeks.
Yeah, I'm pretty
It
sure
seems like
that's
a
about right.
reasonable. Yeah.
Yeah, we how do I word this again? If you know of any kind of rental places, if you're an American, and have like a rental place near you and maybe want to help me and the rest of the NASA staff get equipment, that would be awesome. Because obviously different places have different rental kind of prices, and you know, we're going to be talking to the hotel and stuff, and I'm still trying to figure out what the best way to maybe get some of my equipment over the border is without any hassle. But, you know, if you know of a good rental place in your area and you are willing to drive it then to NASA, that'd be awesome. Or if you have your own equipment and want to bring it to NASA for us to use, it's probably going to be very NASA 2016-ish, where everyone brings something. Because there's only so much that I will be able to fit in my car for one single trip.
Without getting arrested by the Border Patrol.
That is very important. If I get arrested by the Border Control, it's going to be tough. It's going to be very tough. So
I might put a bit of a damper on the event, just slightly, if all of our tech and our head tech got arrested by the Canadian, well, it would be the American Border Police, actually.
yeah.
You don't know that.
Although I don't know necessarily if I would be arrested or not. I would probably just be like denied entry, denied any future entry, and not allowed, and sent immediately home. And then any future attempt of me entering the country would require to get a visa pre-approved.
Do not pass go, do not collect $200.
Yeah, it would not be
They
fun.
also ceremoniously spit on your car.
Yes.
Yeah, that's a requirement, right?
So, yeah, if you are willing to, if you know of anybody or you yourself are willing to help out with that, just like, you know, let me know. It would greatly be appreciated. I'm pretty sure that I almost want to confirm it right now. We'll probably do, like, if you bring a monitor, you'll get like some sort of discount on your ticket, because again, we can only bring, even if potentially every single one of us had a car and drove to the event, there's no way that we would be able to bring everything that we need to bring and have it make sense, because we still have to bring our own stuff, right? So,
Well, you can see who else lives near y'all and has a car. Like, I think Quo could help, maybe.
the biggest issue though is that just you're bringing equipment over the border, and depending on who you get, they'll either be like, okay, that's cool, or they'll be like, oh, you're trying to work, denied. That's the big thing.
Yeah, it's a problem we're gonna have to get solved. But there were some ways we were potentially looking at. You know, it's like some of these things where if you let them know what you're bringing ahead of time, you might be able to have less issues at the border and stuff like that. But you know, we'll see what we can do.
Another thing to expect for 2020 in 2022. I think that's what we're going to try and call it, right? NASA 2020 in 2022.
Yes.
But didn't we float that idea? Anyway,
Yeah.
what to expect is, like, we're going to do the big room thing again. I don't think we secured another room this time, did we? We just have one big main room still, the ballroom.
It's-
I think it's a large room, yeah.
It's a large
Yeah.
ballroom that can be split into 3 smaller rooms, if I remember correctly. So it has air
Yeah,
walls.
kind of like the first, the first NASA had the divider.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
We could probably put like one of the air walls halfway up or something.
yeah, I think that's probably the idea, is to make some sort of like mafia space. You know, have some space for board games and stuff that people, you know, Magic the Gathering, whatever, you know, D&D, these sorts of things that people want to do. And then additionally, like I was saying, with the big room, we'll have like the marathon section, and then hopefully like one of these like record stations that I've been envisioning of like you get to schedule like an hour or two to just like speed run and record record attempts of just like any game that you want to do. Basically, you will have to bring the console, but we'll supply like the capture cards, the thing to actually record it. And you can like upload it right then. The internet there should be good enough, is our understanding. Should still be true 2 years later.
You would hope.
Yeah, you would hope, right? So we'll have that set up, and then beyond that, there's I forget what's in the area, but a lot of good stuff, and it's nearby the airport too, right, Nigler? That was like one of the goals.
Yeah.
It's also, I think this year Nigleri is going to be obviously the expert on all of this, but I think we're going to Cedar Point.
Oh, definitely. Well, I will be at least. I don't know.
Hell yeah.
He doesn't care who else is. He's going, and you can't stop him.
No, I've been there in
no,
like 20 years.
I've never been
there.
I haven't been to a NASA theme park outing since NASA original theme park.
Yeah, that one did have the RMC coaster Goliath. That's like actually like a really really good roller coaster.
Yeah. So I haven't been to an outing since it was me, Nigleria, and Nax as the only three people that went, and I've never gotten to go to Cedar Point, and I've always wanted to go. So I'm not missing my opportunity to ride like Top Thrill Dragster.
That one might be down. It has a shit ton of downtime because it's finicky as fuck. But there's a Steel Vengeance, like another RMC, and like a bunch of other like really good roller coasters.
Yeah.
That don't have anywhere near as much downtime.
Well, they have Millennium Force.
Yeah, one of the plans is to make that
Millennium
more
Force,
of a
I think, has
scheduled
quite a bit
thing.
of downtime too.
Shit.
Everything will be down.
Oh yeah, but those two
It'll
are
be
like somewhat notorious for having a lot of downtime.
It'll be like when we reserved out that one resort hotel for NASA, and then it turned out the bowling alley that was half of the resort was closed the whole time we were there, which was a real fucking bummer because I think they had Tuesday or Wednesday wing nights in there normally, where you could get like 50-cent wings and like bowling for like dirt cheap, and then it was all closed, and I hated my life.
Yeah, some of the feedback that we got about those trips is that it should have been more of like a scheduled thing, especially in conjunction with like people who are doing marathon runs and stuff like that. So we're making it more of a planned trip for this year. No idea when signups for any of this will actually start. I mean, it's not for
A week before the event, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll let you know the day before we go. So hopefully, you're ready.
Yeah, well, we've been floating the idea of maybe trying to like bundle the trip and like the Cedar Point stuff together as like you buy it and then we all have the money already to pay for like maybe some sort of like group thing, depending on how many people we get, right? So
what if here's my question, what if 60 people want to go?
Split it into 2 days or something.
2 days. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. 2 groups of 30
it would
or
depend
whatever.
on who the 60 are. Like if they're all runners, like our entire schedule of people want to go.
We just have the schedule go to intermission for
all
like
of
6
NASA
hours or
goes
8
to Cedar
hours.
Point.
Yeah. No, wait. Yeah, wait. We could just take the GoPro. What were we thinking? We can speed run Cedar Point.
Yeah, we like that day. It's like we only schedule mobile games. We should have somebody just
Yes.
on the stream from their phone.
I mean, I have pretty good hotspot, but it was only 30 gigs. So I don't know. I think I'd run out pretty quick.
Have to get one of those like streamer backpack things
Yeah.
with like I don't even know what's inside of that thing, but it's like
Batteries.
set up. Yeah. Yeah, we'll figure it out. So that's somewhat to expect. Some other stuff. If you do have suggestions, we've already talked about it. But yeah, drop us a line anywhere.
Yeah. Oh, I have an Oculus Quest too, so I'm gonna bring that so we can play VR games.
Yeah, same.
Yo, awesome. So we're gonna have multiplayer VR games.
Yeah, it should be great.
Is there anything else anybody wants to go over?
Oh, ARPGME is coming up. Get
Yeah,
your
I guess
submissions
we
in.
can go out on that. Yeah, in terms of marathons, yeah, ARPG ME submissions open.
This weekend is
You can-
Unchartathon.
Yes,
Yeah.
Unchartathons this weekend, and then the weekend after we have Gamer House. So
Yes.
lots of content coming up in the next few weekends. So if you enjoy speed runs, check out our channel. You will have no shortage on the next few weekends.
Accurate. I will be appearing in the ARPGME, I'm pretty sure. So look forward to that.
Please subscribe to the YouTube channel.
Yeah, and-
I have one hope. Just please subscribe to the YouTube channel. Bring it to the 1,000
Do
viewers.
that, and specifically
subs.
watch Oregon Trail whenever you can find it mixed in, because some quality content right there.
I love dysentery.
Dude, I
pretty
can't
sick.
believe you made that's the second time that you've just big dicked and just been like, yep, I'm just gonna do a run, and just finished an actual all the way without dying on your first attempt. It's pretty funny.
Sometimes you get lucky. All right. Well, thanks for tuning in, everybody, and listening and all that good stuff. Appreciate you, and have a good one. Bye bye.
Goodbye.
Bye.